Alright, so we've got some Nike Air Max 90s. These were ordered off eBay, and that's the box. And the very first thing I'll say is that the box is too small for what the actual Nike ones would originally be. It would have a lot more to it, you know, and they'd fit in there with plenty of space. Got the label on the front, Nike Air Max 90, black, white, and black. That's typically what you'd expect anyway. The UK size, the US, the Euro, and whatnot. We've got the number on the bottom as well, which is also legit. But we open up the box. As you can see, the box is very, very, very cheap quality. There's just no rigidity to it at all. You've got little creases on the side, very easily damaged. I mean, look. Okay, the tissue paper, that's fine. Okay, let me take out the shoe. Again, as you can see, they're very tightly packed in there. So let me take these out. Nothing else in the box. No tags. No tags on the shoes. You know, nothing stapled to the tongue. On the inside, 309 299 044, that matches. Sorry, 004, that matches what we've got in the box. Now, if you look at these shoes, they look alright. At first glance, you know, they look decent. They look like they'd be a good pair of shoes to wear, but then you look closely. You look closer at the shoe and you realise that the swoosh logo, for example, it doesn't round off at the bottom. It just kind of stops just there. You've got, it's kind of smaller before it ends here. You usually expect more of sort of thickness up here before it goes smaller, and there's no consistency in the stitching. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There we go. There's no sort of consistency in the stitching. It's not even the width between the stitch and the edge of the swoosh logo. Like you see, it just kind of drops in. There's no kind of curve to it at the bottom. This is not entirely straight, and it kind of wobbles off a bit here when it hits the mesh. And you've got this stitching that goes across the shoe and it goes through the logo. You'd never get that. The logo would be on top of the shoe, and it would be a complete piece. There'd be no stitching in between it, and nothing going over the top. The bubble feels fine. I don't know how real that is. Move to the tongue. The tongue looks good as well. There's a bit of an extra space between the Air and the Max, which you wouldn't ordinarily get, but there we go. Other than that, I mean, the shoe feels okay. But then you quickly realise, you know, there's bits of glue everywhere, you know, excess glue. The suede here feels good. And the sole itself, it looks like rubber. You know, you could put it on, it might even feel like rubber. But as soon as you try putting it on a floor, you quickly realise it's just made of plastic. All this is just plastic. As soon as there's a little bit of wear on it, you know, it just kind of starts to disintegrate. You'll see loads of cracks appearing on the bottom. There's no kind of, it won't last the way it should. It's just made of plastic. So you'll only find that when you start putting a little bit of actual wear into them. The other side is the same. You've got the stitching that runs through the swoosh logo again that you wouldn't get. There's no consistency again in the stitching, especially at the top. The laces are good. We'll get to the inside. Again, there's no tags or anything on these, which you'd always get. You'd always get something on there. You know, you either get a Foot Locker or you get something from Nike themselves. Take out the insole at the bottom. These should be glued in, so the insole wouldn't come out like that. A little bit of paper. You'd get more than that as well, and it'd be the better quality stuff. Okay, we're looking inside now. What you can smell is glue, and there's no logos or anything in there, which I don't think you get. But the insole would normally be glued in. It'd be glued into the bottom, so it would never come out that quickly. You can see the little bold white bit at the top there. It almost looks like somebody's worn this. Very cheap quality. You can see the bend there. you wouldn't get that. They're very, very thin. Can you see that? Going all the way around. Now at the back, you've got the Nike logo, which is okay. You've got no R in there for the copyright for the Nike itself. The swoosh has its own copyright, and so does the Nike logo, which has just got the word Nike. You don't see that in there either. So that's the insole. Very cheaply made. Again, the shoe is very bottom heavy, and so that's because of the amount of plastic that's in the bottom. I don't know if you can hear that. There's no actual rubber in there. You only find this out when you start wearing it. You've also got another little discrepancy there, as you can see. And Nike have the most meticulous stitching. It's perfect. This one here is okay. It's got an even width all the way across, and it follows it all the way to the back. The back looks great as well. So to the ordinary person, they might seem like, it's a genuine pair, but they're just not. The laces could be genuine, I'm not too sure. They do have a bit of an aftermarket feel, but that might just be because the rest of the shoe. The other one's the same. Stitching through the swoosh logo. A smaller version of the swoosh logo here. It's actually smaller on this side than it is on that side. The inside is just fine, made in Vietnam. The numbers match up with the box, but you typically see that, and that's pretty good quality. I think because people usually just check that. They check that it matches the box that it comes in, and then they assume that it must be genuine. But that's just not always going to be the case. Look inside again, a little bit of tissue paper. Pull open the insole. Same sort of poor quality, really thin. There's no arch to it. I mean, this should be a lot more solid, so it supports the arch in your foot to prevent any kind of problems. You got a little bit of, again, like somebody's worn it or something. Very thin, and they're not glued in. It just smells of glue in here, and if you can see, it's like a stain just at the back over there. And so yeah, those are the fake Nike Air Max 90s. They were bought off eBay, and this is the seller that they were bought off. It's called Caviar Jar, so be careful. Stay safe. Thank you for watching.